Welcome to the Dental Team Podcast. I'm your host, Kiera Dent, and I have this crazy idea that maybe I could combine a doctor and a team member's perspective because let's face it, dentistry can be a challenging profession with those two perspectives. I've been a dental assistant, treatment coordinator, scheduler, biller, office manager, regional manager, practice owner, and I have a team of traveling consultants where we have traveled to over 165 different offices coaching teams. Yep, we don't just understand you, we are you. Our mission is to positively impact the world of dental, and I believe that this podcast is the greatest way I can help elevate teams, grow VIP experiences, reduce stress, and create A-teams. Welcome to the Dental Team Podcast. Hello, Dental Team listeners. This is Kiera, and you guys, I'm excited to have a guest that we've had before back on the podcast. I like him because he talks about all the things that I don't enjoy. And if you guys know me, it's marketing and billing, and he's on the billing side. So Josh Smith with Dental ClaimSupport is here today, and they're awesome guys. I rave about them. I promote them. I have so many clients that actually work with them. It's really fun because I feel like billing is a beast, and it's something that you can actually outsource really, really, really well. So Josh, welcome to the show today. How are you?
Thank you. We are doing very well, Kiera. Appreciate that intro. It's nice to be here again.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us a little bit about what you guys do, Dental ClaimSupport, just so people know, because honestly, right now, I know hiring is a beast, which is why you guys have become popular for Dental Team to recommend. And if you guys know, I don't recommend anybody I haven't vetted. So if I've got them on the podcast, I wholeheartedly, if I had a practice today, I would be incorporating them into my practice. So Josh, kind of just tell people so they know if they're looking, they're thinking about maybe outsourcing, what exactly does Dental ClaimSupport get into? What do you guys do? And then guys, we're going to be talking about some of the top held secrets and tips of making a practice successful today. Josh just wrote a book, so I'm excited to dive into that and find some of those trends to make you guys successful. But I honestly think outsourcing billing is one of the best things you guys can do. So Josh, what do you guys do at Dental ClaimSupport?
Yeah, so we are outsourced dental billing company. Literally what you just said, but in a nutshell, we're going to help with the operations of really the claim submission process and what happens after that. Well, we got to post payments, we got to work insurance agent reports. It's about collecting what you produce, and we're behind the scenes working with your office to do that. There's also insurance verification, there's patient billing. We basically are a revenue cycle management company at this point. We've added other services in order to take care of not just the questions and the needs of what our clients started to ask us in the sales process. We just know that we can help in that facet because then again, dental offices and dentists can focus more on their patients, and dentists can do what they love, which is fixing smiles, right?
Exactly.
So that's in a sense what we do. Again, revenue cycle management, from insurance verification all the way to patient even owing you. We're going to take care of that whole thing for you.
That's awesome. And Josh, how did you get into billing? Because honestly, I hate billing. So I'm always curious, like when someone's like, hey, I had this great idea. I want to do billing for hundreds and thousands of offices. Sign me up. Like, how did that even come about for you? Because that's never been anything I would even dream up in my wildest dreams.
I know. You even put it there. If I would have said it that way, I'd have been like, why do I want to do this? I think when I started, it was with a small DSO out of Savannah, Georgia. Had a couple other partners, one being a childhood friend and one being my brother-in-law. One thing we noticed.
There it is, guys. Did you hear that? Friend and brother-in-law. No one else joins billing unless they have a deep seated love. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
There are billers, and I love you all, and I know you love your billing. Don't worry. I like treatment planning and building businesses. I get you would not like that. Okay, so brother-in-law and friend, DSO. Keep going.
That's right. We've been able to make it work through our 10 years, which we just celebrated as well. And you better believe we don't always see eye to eye. So, but we noticed I was in a small DSO, about 7 or 8 offices, and all the billing was done differently in all the offices. So we streamlined a process and we centralized it, and basically we became a little outsourced dental billing company, right? And what we realized is if we did streamline it and we had the office focusing on the patients, we could handle the stuff on the back end. Obviously, more and more services we started to offer, we branched out, and we were able to get out into the office and fix problems internally, on the front end. But that's how we realized that there was a need, and we just said, hey, if this is an office problem in an umbrella of a DSO with 7 or 8 offices, and then it's a problem across the United States, let's let's just streamline this with the same process and implement it across the United States. And that's how we ended up doing it. But
That's
yes,
awesome.
can it be boring? Sure. But the reward is off the charts when you're seeing other practices open, you're creating jobs. People are happier, patients are happier. It's one of our core values here as patients. We don't forget about that, even though we don't really have personal contact with them. We've all been hurt by an insurance company at one point. So we keep that in the back of our heads whenever we're working for a client.
I love that. So I'm going to ask the question, since you see so many claims come through, Josh, what's like the number one mistake you see offices make in billing? And I know this is like totally off the fly, but I'm sure you see enough to know.
Oh, no.
What is
simple.
the number one mistake that offices make that like hang up their billing, or things that you're like, I wish every office would just do X? What is it?
Yep. Data entry. So pay attention to putting in the right information for a patient, which leads to correct insurance verification.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to do that and get full breakdowns, and then send claims accurately and timely every single day. 90% of your claims should pay if you're really doing that necessary work on the front end. Don't rush through it. After that, then if claims don't pay, follow up on your insurance agent report. It's not fun, but it has to be done. And again, have your own values. Think about your patients. You don't want them calling wondering why a claim hasn't paid. And then have fun with it. It's not fun talking to insurance companies. It's not fun being on web portals, but if you can treat it as a game, just win the game. It's like chess. Just do what you can to have fun with it. And that's what our billers have embraced across the United States, is that kind of mindset. But yeah, if you're an office, just pay attention up front to what you're doing. It's amazing how many offices we see input the wrong insurance data or the wrong name and misspell like Josh with an A. You're like, come on, don't do that. That claim's not going to pay. And just if you pay attention to the little things, dental billing can be very simple if you just pay attention and you think about it as an 8-step process, right? If there's a kink in that 8-step process, fix it. And it could be data entry, it could be claim submission, it could be posting payments the right way, but figure out where your kink in your chain is and fix it.
I love that. So I am actually curious, when you said follow up on your AR, what do you guys recommend for the follow up on AR? I've heard lots of different like cadences for it. What do you guys recommend for a healthy AR follow up? Because I agree, one, I hate following up on AR, so I agree with you. Get that data in clean. Like, choose your hard. Would you rather do like clean data entry, or would you rather follow these claims forever and have upset patients? For me, I'd rather clean data entry, and I love that it's that simple and that billing can be simple. It is hard because of human error and because we didn't take the time to enter it correctly. So when we do get into the AR, what's a healthy cadence to follow up on that?
Yes. So there's different ways that people like to work, say an insurance agent report, which of course is different than a patient, accounts receivable report. I want everybody to understand that. Patients and insurance owe you. A lot of offices, if you ran their numbers, you would see that 90% of what's outstanding is actually from insurance, not from patients, which means that, hey, you need to work your insurance agent report, right? And some offices are the opposite.
If I see a patient one, I'm like, oh, guys, that's an easy fix. That means you need to be comfortable collecting money. That's number one. Like, just collect
up
money.
front. Collect up front, which means do insurance verification the right way. Your software, your PMS is literally going to tell you, collect $50 from this patient, collect $100, do that, and then they'll be left with a $0 balance.
What if it's wrong? What if it's wrong?
What if it's wrong? Don't make sure it's not wrong. Do your insurance verification. Make sure your data entry's right. I can't stress that enough. But going back to a cadence on an agent report, we tell all of our billers, like, I like to focus on claims that are over 30 days. I know that people out there will say, hey, no, what about 14 days? Well, if I call on 10 or I'll research 10 claims and 9 are in transit to me, I've wasted time on 9 claims.
Amen.
I need to make sure that I'm doing what I need to do up front with data entry, insurance verification, and claim submission. These claims are going to pay. For the ones that get over 30 days, notice a trend. I like to look for dates of service that are the same. I look for families that are the same. I look for a problem payer. That means I might have a payer ID issue. If you notice trends on an insurance agent report, you can tackle it in a very systematic way to where you're like, oh, well, I have 20 claims from the same date of service. I had a claim submission error that day. I need to resubmit these claims. Or I've got a problem with MetLife. Well, you probably have the wrong MetLife payer ID. You can literally test, if you got 20 claims, test 3 or 4. If they all have the same problem, you can go ahead and surmise that the other 20 claims have the same issue. Correct these claims and send it, and then correct it in your PMS to where it doesn't happen again. You got to be proactive when you're working insurance agent reports. But work your insurance agent report over 30 days in full every 2 weeks. If you do that, it will slowly but surely go down, everyone. If you started with 100 claims, if you get these paid, you're not going to have that. If you're fixing problems on the front end that led to those 100 claims being on the report, then slowly but surely you're not going to have to work 100, and you're going to be going through literally probably weekly, printing out a report, working through 5 to 10 claims. And trust me, everybody in your office is going to be happy.
Oh, so I love this because, one, guys, I do think I am pretty savvy when it comes to billing. I mean, I should be. I coach this for a living. I go into offices and help set it up. But I truly believe that repetition is the mother of skill. And so hearing this, I just picked up a gem, even though I feel like I'm real savvy with billing. And so I hope you guys, even if you are savvy with billing, that you're listening and thinking, how can you make it better? Like, I had never thought, Josh, to look at all my claims and look at 2 or 3 and figure out what the problem with it is. And that could probably be the rest of my claims, save me a ton of time. Like, that's genius, because here I am, like, going through claim by claim by claim. All of them have the same problem, but not realizing. And I'm really keen on looking for patterns. So I feel like that's really good advice. And I feel like, gosh, I feel like just hunker down and do it. That sounds so, it feels so.
Schedule.
It does.
Create a schedule. Like, everybody in an office has either an insurance coordinator, somebody needs to be held accountable and responsible for an insurance agent report. Every part of any part of operations in any office, somebody needs to be held accountable. So that's first and foremost, but then set a schedule. Make sure you're allotting time to focus where you need to focus. If it's every Friday from 1 to 3. I mean, I know a lot of dental offices take off on Friday. I do love that. That might be the reason I got into dental.
Maybe.
Right? Let's take some Fridays off. But if you just make sure you set aside time for your posting, your claim submission, what you need to do as far as all the different tasks that need to be completed in your office, and you can set aside time, you're never going to actually let anything fall through the cracks, right? Set aside time for no pays, right? We always have those, but work them. Set aside time for appeals, and set aside time for working your insurance agent report. Even if it's an hour or 2 a week, eventually you're gonna reduce the amount of time you have to set aside if you have less claims to work on, right?
I feel like it's the consistency piece that people don't want.
Yes.
I'm like, if all of us could stay consistent, we'd all be like freaking 6 packs, looking great, because we'd all stay consistent with our eating and our working out. And I feel like it's the same thing with billing. And I feel like offices who struggle with it, I'm like, it's got to be discipline. Like, discipline really does equal freedom, and it makes it so much easier, faster. Like, if you're under a pile of laundry, it's pretty hard to get out of it. But if you stay consistently folding it and doing it, the pile is less, it's less work, it's easier for you to do. And in fact, that's the same with billing. So guys, yes, I did just equate billing to laundry. Both are equally not high up on my list of favorite things to do, but man, like you said, I do love the game of billing. I love to see that patient's happy. I love winning claims. I love figuring out the patterns. I love having my collections sky high. I love not having to chase money. Like, to me, that's the game. That's when I feel like I win, is if my claims come through and my patients have paid and I'm not chasing money, I won my billing game. So I love that you put it that way. Josh, you did just write a book about how to start a dental practice, which I actually think billing is a huge foundation of that. But kind of tell us a little bit about what you found in your research on how to start a dental practice. Because like you said, I mean, pre-show we were talking how I know DSOs are hot right now. I know that a lot of people are selling to DSOs, but DSOs aren't everybody's jam. A lot of people still want to be solo practice owners. They still want to do their thing. They still want to have that autonomy of not working for a group. And so that was kind of your reasoning behind this book. But tell us, like, I'm just excited to hear some of the like shocking, exciting, different things you put in there. Like, I don't know. I mean, tell me like what you found, what you found in your book.
So, we started writing about like dental billing, and that's the first book that we put out. And yes, it's dental billing and reporting. So you know exactly what you're going to get out of that. But honestly, it's done really well. It's gotten a lot of extremely good reviews, and really helped offices out. Just simplify the process, right?
Yeah.
So after I did that and I had so much fun with it, I was like, I'm going to put a little bit more of my personality into this next book. So it's called Hanging a Shingle, and it's a complete guide to starting a dental practice. And what we've seen is dentists across the United States, most dentists go into practice because they're young entrepreneurs, right? A lot need to get out, and they might sign with a DSO a little bit, but ultimately most still want to own their own gig. No different than you, Kiera, no different than me branching out and wanting to start my own business. I kind of want to work for myself, and a lot of dentists do that, but they don't come out with a lot of business knowledge, and it's not necessarily to their fault. It's just to their detriment that it's not really taught in dental school. So I was like, well, why don't I get with a lot of leading industry leaders and figure out, what we can put together in just a concise book. There are a bunch of books out there, how to get a mortgage, how to buy a practice necessarily, or whatever. Mine is like, it's more like, here's some simplistic ways of getting started. Here's how to look for a practice. Here's what you need to do before you walk in the doors on day one. And this is what you need to do on day two. This is what you need to, it shouldn't stop at buying a practice. We can figure that out. You can talk to your lawyers and your accountants, but you got to get paid after that. So what happens is, when do you need to start credentialing, right? ASAP. When does your team need to be trained up? What software should you really use? What's the best fit for your office? Digital softwares, what kind of training do they need to have? That's exactly what I've put together. What constitutes insurance contracts and fee schedules? How can I negotiate fee schedules? Basically, how can you get the biggest bang for your buck and make sure that you've got the right people in the right roles at your office to where you can sit back and do dentistry? And that's basically what it boils down to. And I had so much fun with it, honestly. I'm a dad. I have horrible dad jokes. And there's a bunch in there that you can either laugh or not.
Tell me your favorite dad joke right now that came from the book. I need to know one of them.
What's a favorite dad joke? You really put me on the spot.
I am putting you on the spot because.
Oh, I don't know. What did the fish say when it ran into a concrete wall? Damn. That's bad right there, right? But either way, that's the first thing that came to mind.
They make me giggle. Well, that's mine and my husband's family talent for our holiday Christmas party, and we have to do a talent. I was like, we're doing dad jokes this year, so I appreciate some good dry humor there.
There you go. Okay. But no, I had fun with it, and it's not written to be mundane. Nobody wants to talk about EBITDA and loan to value, and it's boring. It's boring. It's more boring than working claims, let's be quite honest. But it was fun to put together and to help dentists out, because I've got a lot of friends that are dentists. I've got a lot of friends that struggled, that I was able to help in my own little way. Like, I'm not good at dentistry, right? I'm good at getting dentists paid. So it was like, well, how can I figure out a way to actually help them out? And I just knew that we got in this business early on for private practices across the United States. Yes, we are working with DSOs now. We know that is a move, and we know that they need help as well. But we still have the backs of our private practice dentists, and a lot eventually. Yeah, they might go out. They might work as an associate. They might build a little bit of a bankroll in order to buy their own practice and pursue their dream. This is a little bit of in a sense, content for them to digest and see what it can help them out. They might have certain chapters that really stick with them. They might have a chapter they go, all right, I'm moving on to the next one. Whatever the case, it's written for them.
Hello, Dental Team listeners. This is Kiera, and you guys, how was your 2022? I want you to look back and tell me, was it the year of years, or was it a really hard year? Did you crush it, or did it crush you? This is the time, guys, for end of year, Dental A-Team Platinum is welcoming you, where we will physically fly to your practice. We will come and we will elevate your dreams and make them into a reality. And guys, space is limited and prices are going up. This is not a sales pitch. This is not something where I'm trying to scare you into it. I'm just facing the reality of inflation is here, flights are expensive, and I want to see as many people as we possibly can and serve as many as we can. So if you want to be part of our elite group of people, there are limited spaces because our consultants can only see as many. We are taking on 10 new platinum offices by the end of the year, and that's it. That's all we have space for. So if you want to be one of the elite 10, come join us. Be a part of our top-notch elite doctor community. Be a part of our office manager and hygiene and front office communities. Get your operations manual done and live the life that you've only been dreaming of today. Email me hello@thedentalatteam.com and make 2023 truly a year that's unforgettable. We are a complete tax write-off. And like I said, we are only taking 10 offices. So don't get left behind. Be one of those 10. And I cannot wait to give you the biggest, warmest welcome to completely and utterly changing your life for good. Welcome to the Dental A-Team. I can't wait for you to join us. hello@thedentalatteam.com. Cheers to 2023 and making you your best self yet. I love that because it sounds like something that I feel you've done differently than most of the how to buy a practice books that I've seen, I've read, I've promoted. There's quite a few of them out there. I love that you talk about how to get paid
Yeah.
because I feel like so much of what I see, like you guys, I don't know if you know or remember, but I did work at a dental college for 3 years. So I actually saw, and I think, Josh, there is a huge business avenue that none of us have ever looked into, and that
Mm-hmm.
is we all talk about how business is not taught in dental school. And I'm like, what the heck? We're going to have like dental school
Right.
business 101, guys. Don't worry. We'll like have it as a side course, an elective course. I don't even want to get into the education system. That feels like so much red tape. Forget it, guys. That's why it's not there. But I love that you talked about how to get paid because I actually feel as a business owner, and I don't know how you were, Josh, you probably were a lot better than I am because you deal with claims and AR. But at the beginning, when I opened Dental A Team, I was freaking broke because, and it's not that we didn't have clients. It's not that I wasn't getting paid. It was all sitting in AR and I didn't know what AR was, but I had a threshold ceiling that I could not break. And finally, one day I talked to my CPA and I'm like, why? I'm talking a year. I was at the exact same dollar amount, but I had more clients. I was working more, but I
Mm-hmm.
just stayed flatlined. Well, I found out I had hundreds of thousands of dollars sitting in AR. I was like, oh, this makes sense why I feel like I'm so broke all the time because my cash flow wasn't there because it was sitting in AR, not collected money. And so I feel like as business owners, that is one of the biggest traps that's going to stunt growth is not knowing how to get paid, not understanding that process, not knowing how to, like you said, credentialing, it happens all the time. When do we get credentialed? Start that like ASAP
Yesterday.
because it's gonna like really delay all your claims and it's gonna delay the
Mm-hmm.
first couple of months of your practice. So many little pieces that I feel are just really, really fun and awesome for practices. So I'm thinking like stocking stuffers. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
As a nice book for dental students who are thinking about buying a practice, people who are associates right now. It just can help those wheels start turning because sometimes we don't take action because the path isn't laid out in a simple way, and it sounds like that's something
Right.
you've done. So I am curious, in your book or in the research you did and with people, what were maybe one or two tidbits that you feel most people don't think about, things that you're like, this was gem and gold from the book that I just feel isn't really talked about anywhere?
Right. And I mean, I mentioned it earlier, credentialing. I mean, if you, and a lot of people, it's almost like a misnomer credentialing. Like, oh, it's credentialing. I'm in network with an insurance company. Well, there's that at the same time as you need to understand that your claims are actually set up the right way, your ADA claim form. All of that needs to be correct. You've got to have your MPI on file with insurance companies. You've got to send in W-9s with your practice because this insurance company might not know who you are. They need to be able to look you up from either your dental license number, your MPI, and your tax ID number. Most dentists just think they can see a patient and send a claim and it gets paid. And to be quite honest, that goes back to what they're not taught, right? You're taught how to fix teeth and honestly how to keep patients happy. And dentists they're extremely good at that, right? But that is one thing that I see time and time again. And we'll start with a new startup and they'll be like, oh, by the way, we don't have an electric or we don't have a clearinghouse, electronic clearinghouse. I'm like, what? You've got to have that. Well, what do you mean? Well, you got to have that. Well, we just figured we'd mail some claims. Like, no, 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 you can't do that. And then we got to get you set up there. Well, I don't know what PMS I'm going to use. We're about to be day one. You've got to have a software. Your team needs to be trained on the software. So I would say, again, the book's about starting a dental practice. I get it. But part two is about what happens after that. You've got to understand that credentialing needs to be done ASAP with insurances that you think you want to be in network with, and or you need to be on file with insurances. So understand that process of claim submission day one. That has to happen. Your fee schedules, all of that, and then training. Your team has got to be trained. A specific story was I was in an office, and on Thursday I was told by my boss we were switching to a different dental practice management software that following Monday. You talk about chickens with our heads cut off on Monday. I did a crash course in 30 minutes. And I'll be honest, we moved over to OpenDent, which I love, y'all. I love OpenDent, but we moved over in 4 days, but nobody had ever seen it. They were like, well, we don't want to lose production. We don't want to cancel a day of seeing patients because we're going to lose that production. We ended up having to cancel 2 crown appointments that day and like 4 hygiene appointments because we couldn't get to them. We left the office at like 8 o'clock that night, got there at 6. People were upset. We lost $3,000 in production because we didn't want to what? Train people for a day on like a Saturday. And guess what you can do? Open up another day you're not typically open on a Friday and make up for that production. Training on the software that you use in an office and making sure your team is up to speed and you listen to your team and where they're deficient is huge, along with credentialing. That is the mark that dentists miss. I see that the most. That is the two biggest things that dentists miss, and that is in the book. And I do have examples in the book of, hey, I was there. I was the one telling these patients we couldn't see them. That I was the bad guy, so to speak. But man, I would have done it differently if I, down the road, or if I was calling those shots.
Amen. I love that. And I actually think something else that I heard that you mentioned was figuring out how to also negotiate fees. So even if you're a practice that is in business, I feel like that's a zone that so many people just have question marks around. So I'm like, so Josh, you're going to send me a signed copy for me and my consultants, because honestly, they need to read this and be even better. But like truly, this is, thank you. I appreciate that. Like that was a subtle, like on the air.
Oh, I hear you.
Peer pressure, because honestly, I'm like, no, our team needs to read this, because honestly, I don't even know how to negotiate fees super well. And from someone who's done it and done it so well with tons of different people, that's valuable. Again, guys, I'm trying to pull out that no matter where you are in your practice journey, no matter where you are in your office management journey, there are always things to sharpen your tool belt and to make you an even better person. I'm like, great. If I can learn how to do better insurance negotiation, do you know how happy my clients would be? Because I know how to do it. I know, like, you can go send it in, but I'm like, gosh, to be able to read that, the credentialing, oh my gosh, when I first started my practice, I don't know what that credentialing was. I had this huge spreadsheet. I was calling people for days. I'm like, I can tell you how to credential, but I will never do credentialing for an office ever again. Like that is a labor of love that I do not have for people. But it's so necessary, because the opposite side of it is you're not going to have in network. You're not going to get these claims paid. They're going to get denied. You're going to have upset patients. Like, just take the time beforehand and get these things in order to make your life even easier. So I think it's awesome. I'm excited. I hope you guys all read it. Josh, what's the name of it and where can they find it if they're interested?
They can go to our website. It's dentalclaimsupport.com, and you can buy it on Amazon as a paperback or a ebook. And it's
Did you do Audible?
Come
on, Josh. I want you to do Audible. And if not, set that for your 2023 goal.
We will. I'll go ahead and I'll talk to him today about it. How about that?
Well, I want to do an Audible one, so that's why I'm curious of, like, how was it? Was it obnoxious? Like, how? So you and I will do our Audible books next year together and figure out how we're gonna do it, because I
think who would I get to narrate it? I think like Morgan Freeman or something. I don't know.
Great idea.
You don't want to put anybody to sleep. No, it's called Hanging a Shingle, Complete Guide to Starting a Dental Practice. Awesome. That's what you get out of it. So, I don't know. It was fun. It was fun doing. I appreciate you bringing it up today and us being able to talk about it.
Yeah, of course. I think, like, again, it's cool things for startup practices and for people who are thinking about doing it. Honestly, like right now, I'll use the example. I'm getting ready to go into real estate. Hello, all of you out there. My peer pressure for all of you is, if you're awesome at real estate, you should definitely reach out to me and teach me how to do this. I'll teach you dental. You teach me real estate. Hello at the Dental team, guys. That's really a not subtle push to say, hello, I need help. But what I'm trying to say with this, in conjunction to what we've talked about today, is I'm trying to learn real estate. I want to build a real estate portfolio. I'm super intrigued by it, but I know nothing of even where to start. So I'm going to go to experts, and that's why I vet people. That's why I bring them on the podcast. That's why I share with you guys, because if there can be a clear-cut path of exactly what to do, I think more people would open their practices. I've talked to so many practice owners, and I've asked them the question of, are you glad you started your practice when you did? And so many of them that were associates prior to opening said, I wish I would have opened sooner. It wasn't as hard as I thought it was. I was just scared because I didn't know what I was getting into. And so here is a resource from billing in your AR and all the cadences to hanging your shingle and figuring out how to negotiate insurance plans and getting credentialed and the step-by-steps to starting a practice. I just think, Josh, you brought a wealth of knowledge today, and it's fun. I'm excited. Like, I love having you guys as someone I recommend and refer. And like you said, guys, go to their website. If you're looking to outsource billing, which again, 'tis the season, guys, hiring is hard. So make that one thing you don't have to worry about and outsource that if that works for you. But Josh, any last things you want to wrap up with today? I appreciate all the value. A ton.
I second everything you just said. I mean, I think people are told how difficult it is, and that's ingrained in people's heads. And really, Hey, I don't know what page it is. It's like, you can do this. It literally says that. And it's for that reason, we're all told how difficult things are, and it's easy to get approached by a DSO or somebody else that can go ahead and just bring you in as an associate, but you can do it, and lean on people. We lean on business coaches. We lean on people that can help us out in our business. And it's no different if you're a dentist. Lean on other people that do what they do, and they're good at what they do. Right. No different than people lean on the dental A team. It's literally the same thing. So I second everything you just said. And I just appreciate it. We're here to help dentists. I am. So, we align in that, and that aspect. And I'm just glad I could be on your podcast today. It's fun.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for that. And I agreed, guys. Go find an expert in the position that you want to go into. That's why I love what we do at Dental A Team. I'm like, no, guys, I don't sit here and blow smoke and tell you this is something I've dreamed of doing. I've sat in the trenches. Our team has been in the trenches. We've been in your shoes. I've freaking been an owner of a practice that feels like it's about to go under, and I'm terrified and don't know what I'm doing. Like, find someone who's actually done it, who has the credentials for it, that can show you again and again and again and again. Like Josh gets claims paid over and over and over and over. Like, go learn from him how to get your claims paid if you're struggling with it. Look at your AR. If doctors, you don't even know what we're talking about today, definitely read the book and learn and educate yourself. But Josh, I just appreciate you, and I appreciate what you guys do. So if you want to reach out to Josh, guys, it's josh@dentalclaimsupport.com. Go to their website, dentalclaimsupport.com. And guys, as always, thank you all for listening, and I'll catch you next time on the Dental A Team podcast. And that wraps it up for another episode of the Dental A Team podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.